guys, I'm Red. In this video I wanted to talk about the newest event coming to the mobile app War Dragons. This event is called the Fight Pits. The Fight Pits is a really interesting event that seems to be like a combination between certain events that we've seen so far, specifically between Tug of War and King of the Hill. Last weekend I had the opportunity to go to San Francisco and play test the Fight Pits with the developers to kind of get a little bit more insight onto how this event works and some strategies that I tried to use in my playtest to what worked and to what didn't work, so I could hopefully share a little bit of information with you. And then of course I know there's so many of you that are just, well, visual people, which is okay. So let's talk about the rules of the Fight Pits. Some of these may seem very basic, but I do want to go over the very specific rules that do come with Fight Pits. So the first thing is each round a team starts with victory points based on where they are. So there are 4 different pits, which we'll get to super soon, and depending which pit you start in and which area you're starting in, your team starts with a set amount of victory points. Every single team in your area starts with the same number of victory points, so there's no advantage to if you're higher or lower ranked in your league. It just really depends on what pit you start on. You steal victory points from other teams by attacking. Really basic, that's how all the PvP events work. Nothing new here for those of us that have been playing this game for at least 2 weeks. At the end of round, all victory points are stored into your total victory points. So a round lasts 6 hours, just like Tug of War, but all the victory points are stored into your total VP and cannot be taken away. So in Capture the Flag or Tug of War, or different names, same event, your victory points are determined how many flags you have just at the very end of the event. In the Fight Pits, though, you bank this XP or this victory points after every single round, so that way it can't be taken. So this really brings some strategy back into the event and really rewards teams that have been playing this event strategically the entire way through. So the winner of each round, which again lasts 6 hours, gets a champion bonus. This champion bonus is 20% of the starting victory points. So if your victory point starting was 100, you get 20 victory points added as a bonus just for winning that round. The champion has the most victory points in their area when the round is completely over. So again, the rounds last for 6 hours. The very last thing, teams will be promoted, demoted, or stay in the same pit based on their performance. So either go up or you go down, and in some few cases, you do stay the same. So let's talk a little bit more in depth about the different pits that we're going to see. So we're going to see the Coliseum, which is the highest ranked pit, the Training Grounds, which is a tier below that, the Jail, and the Pit. All of us are going to start in the Pit, nothing you can do about that, and our goal is to try to work up and get to the Coliseum, which is going to give us more victory point payouts. So this is a really great place to be. So let's talk a little bit more about the specifics and the statistics that come with each of these pets. So the Coliseum will start at the top because there's no better way than that. You start with 200,000 victory points, which is the most victory point starting baseline. So again, any team that is in the Coliseum for the start of the round starts with 200,000. Doesn't matter how many you have for total victory points, everyone starts the same. The base attack is 115 victory points. So what that means is if everyone on the opposing team is the exact same level, they're all going to be 115. That 115 is based off of the average level of that team. Then the higher you are compared to the average of your opposing team, or the higher your target is compared to the average of that team, the more points they're worth. The lower their level is compared to the average of their team, the fewer points that they're worth. So the baseline for the Coliseum is 115, and then it obviously goes up and down from there. Now from the Coliseum, because it is the top pit in this, the top tier, no teams are promoted whatsoever. However, 75% of the teams that are in the Coliseum will be demoted, means they are going to go back down. So just because you're at the Coliseum doesn't mean that you're going to stay. You really have to fight hard in order to remain in the Coliseum. So typically, the champion of the Coliseum is going to be the only person that stays there, and they're going to be the person that gets the bonus, which is a lot of fun there. So let's take a look at the Training Grounds. The Training Grounds, you start with 125,000 victory points, which is significantly less than that of the Coliseum, and you only steal 110 each time that you attack, again as the baseline. So the higher level the target is compared to their teammates, the more points they're worth. The lower level they are compared to the rest of the teammates, the fewer points that they're worth. From the Training Ground, about 40% of teams will be promoted, and 60% will be demoted, which means that nobody stays in the Training Grounds. So you either do well enough to be promoted to the Coliseum, or you don't perform well enough and therefore you're demoted to the jail. So that is something that's really interesting. So you can't just sandbag and stay the exact same place the whole time. You're either going up or down, which brings us to the jail. So now we're down to 75,000 victory points starting per round. You steal the baseline of 105 victory points. Half of the teams in here are promoted and half of them are demoted back to the pit. So this is really a half and half, and again, nobody stays here. And if you really notice, the starting victory points is what makes the biggest difference. So between the jail and the Coliseum, everyone in the Coliseum is starting with over twice as many victory points as those in the jail. So this makes a big difference to how many victory points your team is banking and keeping and adding to their total team victory points score. And then, of course, all of us are going to start in the pit, and we start with 50,000, which is a significant drop from those higher pits there. You steal a baseline of 100 victory points, 60% of teams are promoted, and 0% are demoted, and then my chair is blocking the way. There we go. And then 40% remain. So these are the statistics of the pit here. And as you can see, it definitely changes depending on which pit you are, if you're going to get promoted or demoted. So this is super important. And if you want to save these images for your team, make sure you check the link down below and I'll get you access to those images if you want to share them on your line chat or your Discord, however you want to do. So these are the basic statistics that come with each of the pits. Now let's talk about the features of this event that may be slightly different, and those are things that we have seen before that are basically just the same. So the attacks include basic, super, and unfortunately, mega coins. So reminder for those free players out there, basic is the best use of your items and your energy, but it does take a lot of time. Supers are more in between, so they're not the most efficient use of your energy and items, but they are better use of your time. And for those of you that magically have a ton of items, mega coins save so much time, but they are very much not cost effective compared to how much energy and how many inner fires you have to use in order to just get that one mega attack done. As we've seen in many other events, we do have the inner fire bonus of the typical 100% bonus. Again, that is the baseline points. So if you attach an inner fire on a dragon and a super attack run, it's not going to do as significant of a difference compared to the basic run. If you don't know how to use inner fires, make sure you take a look at your dragon, click its spells, and inner fire is just like a spell that you can add onto your dragons during this event. The new thing about this event that I really love this feature is the team objective panel. So now when you guys are in the event, you're going to be able to see notes from your leaders and from your officers about who they want you to attack, who they don't want you to attack, or maybe just words of encouragement or silly jokes that they have in there for you, which is really fantastic. So no more clicking back and forth between your team mail. You can just look straight in the event and see what we have coming on like that. So I really love those features and I think it's absolutely fantastic. So I hope this has given you just a little bit of insight as to what the fight pits look like and what you can expect coming up this weekend. We're currently in the treasure hunt phase, so I can't wait to see what you guys come up with and to hear the strategies you use. If you do find a strategy that you'd like to share with other teams, maybe not other teams in your league, make sure you comment down below and tell me what your strategies are. In the meantime, if you are not following me on my social media here, I have my Twitter with my updates. I do live stream on Twitch at least 3 days a week, and then of course I put out YouTube videos whenever I can. So if this video helped you, please make sure you press that like button to let me know, and if you feel so inclined, to be so kind if you could push the subscribe button as well. So it has been so much fun hanging out with you guys. Much love from Red, and I'll see you guys again next time.